Classic Democrat ploy, deflect attention from every single thing that he described about affordability being caused by their policies, and then turning around and attempting to blame us for the problems that they created with the housing, the increase in housing costs, the increasing in food costs. We're fixing those things, the policies that they implemented, and I have every expectation that we will see a decline in some of those prices next year. But I actually want to talk about why we're here today, because it is a very important hearing. I have long been a proponent for including sunsets in government programs and authorities, and I believe we commit legislative malpractice in a lot of the things that we do when we don't include sunsets.
The gentleman from Florida, the new ranking member, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Will the gentleman yield?
For a second, sure.
I was kidding. Go ahead.
I was really interested in what was about to happen.
You fooled me too, Brad.
Well, I was going to say, Mr. Chairman, thank you. And, I sit at the end of the dais. I'm the last Democrat here. And so, many questions and comments have already been made on this important topic, which is FISA. And I am absolutely for FISA reform. But, Mr. Chairman, when I think about FISA, you know what I really think about? I think about affordability. And the hoax of affordability, okay? Because, and perhaps someone should tell the president that every time he says affordability is a hoax, like another Democrat sprouts out of the ground and lands in the House of Representatives, and eventually we'll get a gavel. And if he doesn't like saying affordability, that's fine. We can come up with another word. If he doesn't want to say that things are unaffordable, we could just say things are expensive. We could agree to just say that instead. We could just say things are expensive instead of unaffordable. I really want to talk to the person who puts the words into the teleprompter, because this is like a Ron Burgundy situation. Every time he says affordability is a hoax,
will the gentleman yield?
In a second, let me do this and then I will yield. But every time he says affordability is a hoax, it's like saying go F yourself, San Diego, okay? Or is it San Diego? Scholars say the translation was lost long ago. There's no partisanship on the grocery store bill. I know what you're saying, Jared. Be honest. Tell the other side of the coin. Okay, gasoline prices are down, right? See, I'm being fair. Gasoline prices are down, and that's great. Getting energy prices down is important. But, they're not as down as much as he's projecting. But the problem is you can't eat gasoline, right? Can't eat gasoline unless, of course, Kennedy proposed that as some sort of way to get rid of COVID, okay? And what I would say is that even though we all subscribe to our own set of facts these days, we do. The only thing is that still is a constant is that 2 + 2 still equals 4, for now, okay? And so, when you go to the grocery store and you get the bill, there's no partisanship on the bill. There's no partisanship on that bill. There's just prices. And so you can go to all the stadiums you want. You can fill all the stadiums you want. And you can talk about, this being a hoax all you want. But as long as people are paying double and triple for groceries and rent and health insurance and home insurance and transportation and car payments, it won't work, okay? And you're gonna say, Jared, how do you know it won't work? We tried it. We tried it for a whole year during the election. The economy is great. The stock market is great. We try to tell people how to feel, and it didn't work. In the weirdest plot twist ever, I can't believe Trump is copying your favorite president, Joe Biden. I feel like any moment, Trump's just gonna be like, and Trumponomics is great. It's just wild. I feel like Howard Lutnick is about to come on television and talk about how crude today prices are coming down, right? And so look, let me just say, this is why I believe in FISA reform, okay? And now I will yield to your question.
You almost started to answer for me, so I love you, man. You're a great guy, great congressman. But that doesn't have a damn thing to do with what we are talking about today.
I know, but 50 people already spoke and asked all the questions and comments.
The subject matter today is really, really important. I get it. I get the politics. I get the affordability.
No, well,
We're gonna have that
affordability
argument,
is probably slightly more important.
But this is people's personal freedom. Let me tell you, people died multiple times in many wars, right back to the Revolutionary War, so people could believe what they want to believe, say what they want to say, believe in a God that they
Reclaiming my
want to
time
believe.
quickly, and then I'll yield back. Listen, don't get me wrong, the Revolutionary War, very important, but I think most Americans care about what they're paying for goods today, rather than what happened during the Revolution.
The gentleman would yield again.
Yes, I will yield
They
back.
do. They also care about their personal freedom. They care if their daughter or son or brother or sister is being surveilled, if they're losing their freedom, if the judicial system is going out to hurt them because they
Reclaiming my
believe
time
something
quickly.
different.
They-
It's a
they-
big deal. And
they
that
do-
matters. That's what we should be doing
No,
today.
reclaiming my time. I know they do care about that, but if they can't pay their rent and they can't feed their family, the rest of it is less important. And so that's why I brought up affordability, because quite frankly, it's not a hoax, it's a real thing, just like FISA is. And, we're just not having hearings on that. And, and I'm still waiting for Pam Bondi to come back. So look, we got like a week left. Oh, the chairman's got something on that?
No,
I didn't know if you had an announcement. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
No, I was going to cut you off, but not till you had your full 5 minutes.
And I appreciate my placing on the committee for
Yeah,
today. Thank you.
and Ms. Bondi is coming. She was scheduled, and then we had this 43-day, month-and-a-half shutdown by the Democrats, so she wasn't able to be here.
But-
So we'll.
Oh, and then the
we-
speaker furloughed us for
we will-
45 days.
we
I had
will-
never been furloughed before, by the way.
We will.
Okay.
We will have her. The gentlelady from Wyoming is recognized.
Classic Democrat ploy, deflect attention from every single thing that he described about affordability being caused by their policies, and then turning around and attempting to blame us for the problems that they created with the housing, the increase in housing costs, the increasing in food costs. We're fixing those things, the policies that they implemented, and I have every expectation that we will see a decline in some of those prices next year. But I actually want to talk about why we're here today, because it is a very important hearing. I have long been a proponent for including sunsets in government programs and authorities, and I believe we commit legislative malpractice in a lot of the things that we do when we don't include sunsets. I hold this principle to be especially true when dealing with technology and technological advances, which always seem to move much faster than government, and we can evolve when we're drafting our bills. FISA is a perfect example of this issue. Since its creation in 1978, the scope of FISA authorities has continually grown, as has its abuses. As the intelligence agencies we oversee push their surveillance abilities beyond these statutory allowances, that issue today is compounded by new technologies and the commercial availability of data. Today, we as legislators face two unique challenges. First, reforming Section 702 to correct past abuses, which for some appears to be a controversial exercise in and of itself, although I don't see that as to why it should be controversial. But second, we also need to update federal laws and protections to account for the pace of technological advancement. And here we are. We're actually talking about and working on reforms with the chance to vote on those reforms in 2026 for the second time in my 2 terms in Congress, which I think is a really good deal. Why? Because Congress was wise enough to sunset these important authorities to aid in our ability to consistently review them. Mr. Chernisky, technological advancement and the private sector always seem to move faster than the government. Does maintaining these 2-year reauthorizations of Section 702 provide a better chance for us to keep up with the pace of those changes and also to address any new violations that we may see?
Thank you for the question, Representative. And I think that sunsets on a shorter time frame are an amazing tool for you and this committee, more broadly speaking, to assert its authority and its oversight function over these critical agencies. We want them to be able to go and do their national security mission to keep this country safe. But at the same time, as you documented it, as these witnesses have documented. There's a litany of abuses that FISA has enabled, and what better way to make sure that that is on the decline, if not hopefully, ideally eliminated, than by having, these shorter reauthorization periods.
And I've been an advocate for the warrant requirement and some of the other changes that we have made, some of the other modernization and the safeguards that we've put in place. You've been asked an awful lot of questions today. What I'd like each of you briefly to do is to describe for us, if you see any other reforms that we should be making when we revisit this in April of next year. Mr. Tolman, starting with you, have we touched on all of your proposed changes, or do you have additional ideas that you would like us to consider?
With respect to 702, we have addressed them, but with the FBI, I think we have work to do. I think shifting their mission back to interdiction of drug and violent crime should be their central focus and not the gathering of intelligence. And until then, we will see abuses that we have to rein in.
Just very quickly, I don't know if you were aware, but at the beginning of the 118th Congress, when we were doing the Select Committee on Weaponization of the Federal Government, we had a former FBI agent who came and testified, and he talked about how the mission had been shifted after 9/11, and I think you touched on that briefly today as well, and I agree with you. We need to get back to a pre-9/11 mentality with regard to the FBI. I think it's important, and I appreciate your advice in that regard. Mr. Scher.
Thank you for the question. If I could add one thing to the 4 specific reforms that I mentioned earlier, I would add the NGO Fairness Act, which I know that this committee has already passed and reported out, but perhaps that could be attached as part of the 702 reauthorization bill, because it's certainly closely related to the items in that bill. So I would suggest adding that.
Thank you. Mr. Chinarsky?
Yes, I would second Mr. Scher's point of adding in the NDO Fairness Act into that, and everything else, the 4 core ones that we mentioned too.
Thank you. And Ms. Goitine?
If there was one thing I would add to those 4 things, which I agree with, it would be closing the backdoor search loophole for Executive Order 12333 collection.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. And with that, I yield back.